Hey, this is Justin. This is 42 a million. I think this is about video number 5 here. What I wanted to talk about in this video is when did we start? Me and my wife, we decided in about the end of 2019. 2020 seems like it didn't even happen, but a lot did happen in 2020, but nothing really eventful, because of all the COVID stuff. But 1999, in October, let's try that again. In October 1999, um, we were hit with some bills while we're trying to pay off the house. You're doing things, you got some bills to pay, you're trying to pay off the house, you make that decision. Let's get this done, let's get this house paid off. Let's downsize. And, we weren't sure we wanted to downsize yet, but we knew we wanted to pay off the house anyways. But then we started thinking, we still owe 150 grand on this house. We've been here for 12 years. And it needs a lot of work. It needs a new roof, some siding in some areas, new floors, doors, windows. This house had 3 door walls in it. And then the front door was a double door. I think people in other states besides Michigan might call it a sliding glass door. We call them door walls because that's the right name for them. But yeah, so we needed windows. I replaced the bathroom before we moved, which was like all tile work in the shower, new tiles, new vanity, all that kind of stuff. But that was going to probably be 40, 50,000 worth of work. And once you do that, we're back up to what we paid for the house at the time. And after 12 years of thinking, geez, we're not going to be anywhere. It's kind of like, wow, this is a cruddy situation to be in. You're just going to be in debt for the rest of your life to live in this house, and that's fine. But I didn't like how much money you have to pay to be in that kind of debt, to live in that house. So it was my dream home it still would be, I just love being on the water, all the fun stuff you can do. It's a great time. I would say I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I did. So trade it for a better feeling, So January 2020, you see me keep looking over. I'm looking at a piece of paper I have. I'm not that professional where I'm going to memorize all this stuff, and I don't have it like hanging up on a wall in the background with bullet points. So January 2020, decision to sell the house and buy a smaller house and downsize. The plan was to take the equity from our current house, and put it towards buying another house and have the house almost paid off. That was kind of the point, have the house paid off in a few years and just be way more secure. Like I mentioned in my previous video, the layoffs all the time at my job market, it kind of forced the mindset that I was in. That idea really sounds really great to me, is having a paid off house, never having to worry about a layoff again. I could work at Walmart and hit all my bills. There's just an enormous amount of security there. So that's what happened. Then in February, my job told us, hey, we're going to shut down, or at the end of January, beginning of February, my job said, hey, we're shutting down. So the job started. I interviewed at some places, had some offers, didn't like them. Part of it was I really wanted to stay around my family, my brother, my parents, all my cousins, everybody was back in Michigan. But the fact of the matter is, I have my own family too, my wife and my 2 kids, that I really I want to make sure I'm there to spend a lot of time with them. It's really important to me. And the jobs back in Michigan, the pay was fine, but the vacation time wasn't there. The amount of time I wanted off work, I even offered to trade some money for more vacation time, and they just wouldn't have it. And to me, that's really important. I want to spend as much time with my family as possible. My dad, when I was growing up, he worked his butt off. I'll get into some stories about that and like my work ethic and all of that and where that came from. But I saw my dad when I was a kid. It's not like I didn't see him. He was around a lot, but he worked a swing shift. He was sleeping a lot. But he was, man, hardest working person you'll ever meet. I'll tell you, just the guy made no excuses when times got rough. He worked. No better influence or anything like that because of what I've had growing up. But the downside of it, is I didn't get to spend as much time with them as I could have. And actually, that's one of the biggest things that bummed me out about moving out here is finally done with like university stuff, all that, because I went back to get my MBA. He finally retired. We have a property together up north in Alpena, up in Michigan. Was finally going to be a chance to spend more time with my dad, and then my job shuts down, and kind of a cruddy situation. So it's like, okay, try to balance that out. But we still talk. Get back to Michigan once in a great while. Spend some time together. I always got to go up north to do some projects up there in Alpena, so it's a good time to chance to spend some time with my dad, which is really cool. But getting a little off subject here. No, I'm not sure anybody cares about my family life. But so we took the job in North Carolina. Um, March 2020, the coronavirus hit. Like I said, had a bunch of job offers. One of the big things too, though, I like to worry a little bit too much sometimes, but security. Um, there's Most of the jobs had a hiring freeze during that time because nobody really knew what was going to go on. So even though I had job offers, there were a lot of them that had a hiring freeze. So I'm not sure, the best jobs were really offering jobs at the time. There were some good offers, but like I said, there was some of the benefits that I didn't like. And luckily in my career, I can negotiate some of that with some of the jobs. Um, but the ones that did offer me a position, I also would have been the low man on the totem pole. And again, with Corona starting, everybody laying people off, essential jobs only, which most of the fields I work in would be essential. Um, you don't want to be the low man on the totem pole when people are getting laid off. It's usually not a good thing. So the potential to stick with my current job and move out of state, it's way better security. I already know the job. I've been there a long time, longer than everyone else who I would have been, where I would have been moving here. So that's kind of what I took that. So I have a better work-life balance now. It's very flexible. I get to spend a lot of time with my family. I get a good amount of vacation time now. Um, and it's just a lot more better quality of life that I get. And that quality of life really matters to me. Um, so that's kind of how we started this whole journey. I could go back to where I really started, my what gave me this kind of frugal mindset in the first place. And yeah, maybe I'll do that because I have another few minutes for this video. Is I moved out. I was always really good at saving money, even since I was like 9 years old. I'd be figuring out how to do buy things that I wanted to buy, and I would make a list. I had a paper out at like 9, no 10, probably about 10 years old. I'd figure out how I wanted to buy things, how much money I was going to get for my paper out, how long it would take me to save to get this and that and that. Got a job immediately at a party store when I was like 15. Second I turned 16, I got another job at a nursery place, outdoor nursery. And I've just always had jobs on top of jobs. Sometimes I worked 2 jobs through college. My first couple of years, I worked sometimes 56 hours a week while going to college working 19 credit hours. It didn't see my friends, didn't see anybody. So I've always been kind of not a workaholic, definitely not a workaholic today. But my first apartment that I had, lived on my own, moved out when I was about 20, right before I turned 21. Had like got some credit cards, bought a brand new truck, and was living it up, right? And then my job was paying, like not even 15 bucks an hour, my first degree job out of school. It was 1999. But it was good money for the time. It was good enough. But that truck and then extra credit card bills, they started to catch up with me. Sorry about picking out my face here. So they started to catch up with me. Got a bunch of tickets, never really got in an accident, but I kept getting driving tickets. I'd run a stop sign, speeding on the freeway, young guy driving too fast all the time. Neon lights on my car one time, all this crazy stuff, right? So my tickets ended up causing my car insurance. My car payment was like almost 400 bucks a month anyway, like 380 a month. My insurance went up to like 480 bucks a month, being that young of a guy with that kind of a driving record. I could barely afford to eat. I was losing weight. Like I'm eating ramen noodles. One of my friends offered. We went to the local Farmer Jack grocery store around where I lived. We had you would get free food if you found expired food So we would go there right before midnight, find a bunch of meat that was about to expire, wait a couple minutes, and then we'd take that meat and get free meat because we found expired meat. We used to do some stupid, silly things like that, but I didn't have any food, could barely afford any. My saving grace was my dad. I don't know if my parents noticed I was like not eating very well or what, but my dad needed a new truck. Maybe they could see that I wasn't doing so well. My dad bought my truck off of me and he gave me his old beater, like his old 1990 beater Dodge Dakota. Having a paid off truck that ran okay, it got me back and forth to work. Insurance got really low on this old beater. I mean, it was saving me like almost $700 a month. I went from like barely being able to afford food to now having like a $700 a month surplus. That taught me, don't carry debt. Don't carry debt if you can help it at all. Save up, buy everything you can. So that's what I've done ever since I was like 21 years old. At that point, I save up, I buy what I can. I'll pay for like a house payment or a property payment, but I'll pay for like half up front or something like that. But our last car, I did lease my truck. That was the first time I tried that. I'll never do that again. Maybe I'll talk about that one day. It was a nightmare. But the previous car we bought cash, a used car that was decent, and this we'll probably do with the next car. But yeah, saving up, buying things cash. I used to do the calculations when I was like 20 years old. I got rid of my cable TV, $60, $70 a month at that time. I figured, well, geez, that's $600, $700 a year. 5 years, that'll buy me a four-wheeler. So I started doing things that way. I'd save up that bits of money, buy a four-wheeler, using that. The interest, I started doing the math on the interest I would be saving. You save the amount of money interest you save when you don't have credit cards, it's enormous. So that's kind of where I'm at. So that's how we started. And then, or when we started anyways, was about a year and a half ago. Next, I'm going to talk about how I plan to do it, how we plan to retire at 55 to 57, somewhere around that time range, hopefully, if we're lucky. What we plan on using as the investments, all of that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that video next. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Right now, I'll show you around anyways. In my garage right now, the one that I showed you earlier, I have like a kind of a little setup. I do my woodworking and stuff in here. We got a pool table there. Over there is my woodworking area over there. Actually, maybe I can take you over here, show you a little bit of the there's a mahi that I painted. I didn't just paint it, I kind of carved it and grinded it out of the wood. So this whole area is really ground out with a tool, and then this is all carved into around here. And, figure you paint it on here. It's a 4-foot long board by a foot tall. I like to do a lot of that kind of work, a lot of kind of woodwork. And yeah, so that's part of what I plan on doing. Geez, I got to keep this thing on me. It's terrible at the video still. I'm not an expert yet, guys, so forgive me for the terrible video quality and moving the camera around too fast, all this kind of stuff. So talk to you later. That's the 42 a million. This is Justin signing off. Talk to you later. Have a good day, guys. Bye.